Okay, so welcome back, and today we're going to start talking about compression ratios. Okay, so in the automotive industry, compression ratios or engine displacement is what it's called, is often used to talk about engines. Okay, so typically they find it useful to talk about engine displacement or the compression ratios. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that we're looking at the cylinders of the engine. So again, you have the cylinder, if it's all the way up, it's completely compressed. So you're looking at volume of the cylinder when it's compressed versus expanded or expanded. Okay, so when the piston is up, you minimize the volume. Okay, when the piston's down, you have maximum volume. So when it's up, it's maximum compression. When the cylinder's down, you have maximum expansion. And so it's useful to compare those two numbers, and that's where the compression ratio comes from. Okay, so they measure the compression, the maximum compression, so the volume of the cylinder when it's compressed, maximum compression, and the volume of the cylinder when you have maximum expansion. Okay, and so let's do an example of that. So again, this is the compression ratio. So you have the expanded volume divided by the compressed volume. Okay, so if you know those two volumes, then you can calculate the compression ratio and then use that to interpret what's going on with the engine. Okay, so let's do an example. So in here it says, find the compression ratio of a gasoline engine if each cylinder has a maximum volume of 475 cubic centimeters. Okay, 475 cubic centimeters and a minimum or compression volume of 50 cubic centimeters. Okay, so the expanded volume is 475 cubic centimeters, and the compressed volume is 50 cubic centimeters. And now we want to find the compression ratio, so we're just going to divide those two numbers. Okay, and so what do we get? Well, in this case here, we can see that 25 goes into both, right? So if we reduce this, 25 goes into 475 19 times, right? And goes into 50 twice. Okay, so we get 19 over 2. Okay, or we can write this as 9.5. Okay, we can write it as decimal. So what does this mean? It says, now compression ratios are always written so that the number is in the denominator is 1. So it's always being compared to 1. Okay, it's a common way of doing it. 1 second here. Sorry about that, I lost my place here. Okay, so the reason why we would write this as 9.5 is because ratios are always, or I should say most of the time, compared to 1. So it's always some ratio where the denominator is 1. So in this case here, this would be 9.5 to 1. And so that would be the compression ratio. And that's how we would say it. We would say the compression ratio is 9.5 to 1. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So we'll come back and we'll do another example.